It's hard work gathering all the poles because you got to cut them down and then you've got to get all the limbs off of them and drag them out from wherever you got them from, which is always like in the bush. I'm excited we've got another round of poles for the fence. So that's very exciting.
There's a new day that will come again tomorrow. There's a new day to wash away the pain. There's a new day to take away your sorrow. And the old ways get washed out by the rain. Darling, you've got to keep holding on through the night, 'cause I promise you this: if you try to get some sleep, if you give up the fight, if only just for a bit, there's a new day to leave behind your troubles. There's a new day and it will set you free. There's a new day to get you through your struggles. I will always think of you and me. Darling, you've got to keep holding on through the night, 'cause I promise you this: if you try to get some sleep, if you give up the fight, if only just for a bit.
We don't show this portion of the property all that often, but it's a little skid road up to the upper portion of our property. So out in the wilds, we don't go up here all that much.
Yeah.
But we need some poles, and so here we go.
It's kind of scary up here.
Waiting round the bend, there's a new day and it will restore us. There'll be new ways. This is not the end.
Hello and welcome back. I am out in the garden today. Actually, I have to run Robert into town to get his truck. We had to drop it off to do some repairs. And I'm waiting for him. We were getting ready to take off and all of a sudden he had a conference call and now he has to do an interview. So while he's doing that, and I cannot bring myself to go back inside and do anything because it is just absolutely beautiful out here today. Like the temperature is perfect. It's probably like 60, 65 degrees. The sky is crystal clear and blue. Oh, it's so warm and the sunshine just feels amazing. So I thought what I would do is just take you guys around the garden and share a few things that I am noticing right now. Some things that I'm really enjoying seeing, and maybe some future plans that we have for this space. So along our fence line here, we've been working on this fence, putting this all the way around the garden. But along this fence line here, we really wanted to put things that would be vining and climb up it. So right here behind me, we have a rose bush that's like a blush pink color when it blooms, and it smells amazing. There's a pot of mint there that can be moved around though. We put in a wisteria vine, which I love. We had one at our last house, and while they can be kind of crazy and kind of turn into a jungle and try to take things over, I actually don't mind that. I actually really like plants like that that are kind of invasive, which I know is kind of crazy, but I do. We have 2 grapevines here that look like they're both doing well. Right next to me is a Daphne bush. This one is just barely starting to bud out. My mom dug up and split a bunch of like bulbs and stuff, and she gave me a couple of clumps, but for the life of me I can't remember what they are. I think these are irises right here, and then right down here we have a lilac bush, which I'm really excited for. We've also had one of these at our last 2 houses, and so that's exciting to plant. But we really want to there's also something that we want to do that we did last summer. As you can see, my car is right back here. So that's where you drive up to the house. And all the way along this fence line last year, we planted a row of sunflowers. And it was the most amazing thing to be able to drive up and just see all these gorgeous different colored sunflowers. So we're gonna do that again this year, and I'll probably plant more than I did last year. Just because it was so beautiful and such a like wonderful way to be greeted driving in the driveway by all these like amazing, beautiful, some of them huge sunflowers. So that'll be fun. We're going to do that again for sure. As you can see, we are still working on the natural fence. This is a very time-consuming, labor of love project, but it's coming along. The thing is with a project like this, it's not like where you go to Home Depot and you buy 50 fencing boards and they help you load them in the back of your truck, and then they're just right there easy for you to use. Like, we actually go out in the woods on our property and we gather all of these poles, and we have to get the right size, we have to trim all the branches down, then we have to like lug them back to the tractor and tie them onto the tractor and then drag them out. It's absolutely a lot of work to do a fence like this, but I think it's really beautiful. It looks very natural in this landscape, and I'm excited to have that done. We've been working really hard on trying to get this finished up because garden season is coming up, and we do have deer around that like to get in the garden if the gates are open. So we had cattle panel fencing before. We've since taken all of that down, and now we need to get that replaced. We really can't plant out in our garden because of how cold it still gets here until middle of May. So we still have another month or so, month and a half, before we're really going to be putting things out in the garden. So that'll give us time to get that finished up, and we are really focusing on getting that done. Last spring, we put in these rows, and what we grew in the rows was just the stuff that's really viney and takes up a ton of space, like squashes and watermelons and zucchini and all of that kind of thing. So I imagine we'll probably just keep these rows as is for now. In-ground gardening is not my favorite. For some reason, I just really like raised beds. However, this is very effective when you have stuff that just takes a ton of room. So we'll probably leave that as is for this summer unless I get a wild hair to do something different there. But I don't think so. We've got so many other projects that we're trying to work on that as much as I want to do some type of raised beds, and here too, just really long raised beds, I think I'm going to have to force myself to hold off on that project till another time. So that I can get some of the other stuff done. I planted garlic in the fall. That's coming up and it's looking really beautiful. I also, in my garlic bed from last year, I had some really small cloves that apparently I had just dropped in the bed, and they seeded themselves kind of. So when I realized that they had done that, that they basically volunteered there, I just covered them up with some dirt and mulch, and they're doing really well. So we've got volunteer garlic coming up in that bed where we planted last year, and then in this bed over here for this season, I've got everything that I planted this past fall. So that's really exciting, and it all looks really good and it's doing great, and I can't wait to harvest it. You'll have to excuse the slight mess behind me. We've got garden hoses strung up, and we still got plastic showing underneath the pea gravel. This is a project that we worked on last summer, was putting in this kind of pea gravel patio all around the greenhouse here. We did get as much of it done as we could. However, This line right here is just like a slope, and so what I need to do is build a rock wall. I just ran out of time in the summer and fall to be able to have time to do that. So that's a pretty big priority for this year. And actually we've decided to extend this space. We're gonna, from the corner of the greenhouse right here, we're gonna extend it out towards me to about where I'm standing. It's gonna come straight out and then curve around to the meet the end of the house right next to me right here. Obviously we have to put a gate in this area right here because otherwise the deer will get into the garden. But we're struggling with where exactly to put that gate because that's kind of a small area and we really like to enjoy that spot in the summer. We usually put up a sunshade and we have our chairs there. And if we put a gate right there, then we can't really enjoy that spot. The gate will swing open and close there. So we decided to extend this little pea gravel patio area out so that we can bring it down this way, maybe even put in a fire pit, and then have an area where we can set up chairs, and then we'll go ahead and put a gate across that front spot right there. That way we can keep the gate, that way we can keep the deer out of the garden, and we'll still be able to have a nice spot in the garden to enjoy. One thing is that when you have a sizable amount of property, I like to keep everything really close in and intensive. So we tend to spend, when we do come outside to enjoy the weather or just be outside and sit down and enjoy each other's company, we come into the garden, generally speaking, because we usually have sun sails up in here and it's just a really nice backdrop to enjoy. So with that being said, we try to keep a lot of what's going on the property because there is so much space. Most of it, we just keep it where we can mow it. And this is the area where we will plant more intensively, like bushes and flowers and our vegetables, of course. And we'll just kind of have this really like sanctuary little oasis type spot. And this is what we kind of heavily will manage. And then the rest is just mowable and weed eat it and just keep it looking nice. But this is where we put the most amount of our time and energy into as far as maintaining the property, because this is a space we really enjoy being in. Anyway, I'm really excited for all of the plans that we have coming up this summer. I can't wait to show those to you guys. We will be starting those really soon. Stick with us.
Standing here a while just to take it all in. Radio's playing our song. And then you stood there smiling at me as so many times before. I'll never wanna be away, leave you again. You are all I want and more. It's true. If only I could do one thing, I'll be with you. It's true. Baby, how I need the loving of you.
Boy, it is a beautiful spring day today. It's supposed to be like 60, 65. I feel so blessed just to be outside enjoying nature today. So yeah, loving life, loving the vitamin D. It's always so refreshing in the spring when the sun's coming out. You're getting a little more sunshine and everything's being reborn, rejuvenated. All the buds are coming up. I love the changing of the seasons.
Waiting at the doorstep, finally home. I've been gone for too long. Standing here a while just to take it all in. Radio's playing the song. It is true.
done.
it feel to be done?
It's awesome. We now have the entire side of the creek and the forest protected with a nice tall deer fence. So that feels very good to have that done. We got some more work to do by the house, but the hundreds of feet of this that we've done are finished. So a little bit more to go and we'll be there. I'm feeling very happy though right now.
Well, that is very exciting to be done with this side. It's a true labor of love. Tons of work to do it, but it feels really good to have it done.
Yeah. My hat is slightly askew.
Something attacking my ear. I'm pretty sure I'm full of spiders and ticks and poison oak, so we'll have to go take care of that. However, thank you so much for joining us again today on this video. We really appreciate you being here. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, and take care. We'll see you soon.
Bye.